Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
It's Billy Bob himself, Scott Stahl.
Must represent.
Yes.
All right, look, I have lots of shirts. Now, again, we don't work for Google.
Yeah,
we do not work for Google. They just give us nice stuff every once in a while. So we've been collecting stuff over the years. I've got this jacket. I've got a hoodie. I've got a sweatshirt. I've got a bunch of t-shirts. I've got this hat. I have socks, but I don't have any pants. So, if anybody knows anybody at Google,
Flutter head to toe. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, I need some pants.
Right.
We'll leave the trousers out of the equation.
Okay. Right.
For Americans, that means underwear.
Let's crack on. So, yeah, I guess we'll do the do's and don'ts and just crack straight into the show.
Let's do that. All right. Be nice, be decent, be constructive. This is YouTube, not Reddit. Don't post anything that's adult, rude, offensive, or otherwise against common sense. Don't advertise or promote anything. We all need jobs. No, that's not true. But don't spam the same question over and over. This is the one that people actually do. Again, every single time you post we see your question, it goes to the bottom of the list. If you repeat the question, you lose your place in line. Don't do that. Harassment of any kind is not tolerated. Bigots, incels, misogyny, other nonsense like that. Failing this code, or if you fail to follow this code, we will kick you out of here and pass your name around to everybody we know so they can kick you out of their things too, like Discord and Slack. So, and lastly, if you follow this one, then you probably won't have any problems with the other ones, and that is have a good time.
Indeed, have a good time. Let's jump in. My name's Simon Lightfoot, Flutter Community Leader, CTO at Dev Angels London, and you can follow me on Twitter at Dev Angels London, on Blue Sky at devangels.london. Scott.
My name is Scott Stahl. I am also a community leader. I am also organizer, GDG Cleveland. You can find me at Scott Stahl 2017, or I'm posting my Blue Sky into the chat because it's scottstahl.bsky.social, which I'll probably have to simplify that.
And we have a Randall. Randall, welcome to the stream.
Hey, back again. Once again, this is Randall Schwartz. I've been a Dart and Flutter Google developer expert for over 6 years now, ever since the beginning of the program. And that means I spend a lot of time answering y'all's questions. So many of you may know me from Discord and Slack and Stack Overflow and Reddit, where I'm answering questions constantly, it seems like. For this show, I am the question magician, which means I am watching the live chat that we have on our YouTube stream. And if you put something that's Q: in front of a question, I flag it so that the rest of us can answer it when we gets to your turn. When we gets to your turn, yeah. So obviously English is a little escaping me here. It's unlike the other members of this panel. For me, it's very early in the morning. I just woke up, so it's not crazy that way.
I think there's someone who might dispute you being early in the morning.
Raphael,
this is late at night. This is late at night.
Hello,
mine's early in the morning.
Yes. So
he's been up until now.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What time is it in Fukushima?
2 a.m.
4 a.m.
2 a.m. Yeah.
Oof.
So anyway, hello.
I think Raph wins the early in the morning.
No, that's late at night. That's late at night.
It is late at night, yes.
Come on. The program is midnight is when we change to the next day. Come on now.
Nope. It's based on sleep cycle.
I work with companies where they cycle their records at like 3 a.m. or 6 a.m. and like different times during the night, so that officially the next day starts not at midnight, but like in their
Yeah.
record keeping.
Well, you
like,
see, the thing is, it's either A,
it's so weird.
which is morning, or PM, which is night. And Randall seems to have the same problem with this as he has with time zones.
I do.
Those are hard. I agree.
Anyway, Raf, we interrupted your introduction of yourself.
Oh,
Who
no
are you?
worries. Who I am? I'm just a guy who likes Flutter and doing some community stuff lately. I'm moving packages to Swift Package Manager. So that's my
Oh,
Nice.
hobby.
And where are you from originally again? Because that's not a Japanese accent.
Oh, I'm from Poland.
Poland.
cool.
So
And spent some time here in
Poland
London.
by way of Fukushima.
True.
By the way of
Yeah.
London, by the way of Fukushima.
From
That's
London.
true. That's
So,
true.
you know.
The last time I saw you, it was in London.
True.
That was a long time ago. That was what, 2018?
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably. Simon, when was that?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was. It was DroidCon London 2018.
You
Yeah.
guys and your
It
world
would've been
travels.
Flutter London as well beforehand.
Yep.
Cool.
Wow. Randall's we're gonna get you out going world tours soon. Don't worry.
I know. Well, it's not like I didn't have 25 years of 68 countries. So I
Mhm.
have been plenty of places. I just haven't done it with respect to the Flutter community. So
We'll get you out here. Don't worry.
yeah.
Hey,
Right.
I have a question for the audience. We've been talking about trying to put out the word for the show earlier than we have been, like maybe a few days earlier. What does the audience think is a good lead time? 1 day, 2 days, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
5
Come on,
minutes.
don't be shy. Put something in the chat
We'll
because
watch
people
for
are
that.
still filtering in yet.
I mean, I was thinking that what we could probably do is what we could probably do is anyway, there you go.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yes, this is George, co-organizer or main organizer of Flutter London. We could actually briefly talk about this. On the 17th, we're doing a what do you call it? A
Workshop.
Event.
watch party, I guess is the name. So watch
I
party
was thinking about that.
and networking and maybe a panel on the new. Did everyone see that yesterday? The new Flutter in production announcements. Ooh, I wonder if they're going to announce.
I still like Tadas's reply to that. It was hilarious.
Oh, tell us, yeah. It was
Yeah,
like,
he said-
well, is it now Flutter's in production? I've been using
yeah,
production for ages.
you mean it wasn't production ready already?
Yeah.
It's still a
Yes,
late beta.
Tadas, it was production ready already.
Very late beta.
It's like those products that are like those Linux products that are staying alpha for the entire lifetime. Like they're like
Right.
10 years in, they're like, we're still alpha.
Or how
Yes,
many production things we're
Especially
using.
if their version number is like 3.6.8, but it's alpha.
Yep. That's
Star
like how many
Citizen.
production things
Before
I
Simba was a
have
thing.
from the
Yeah.
How many production things I have from the pub that have 0 dot something as their number. There are many things.
So,
They're still there.
yeah. So it's more about Flutter in production, as in what people have been doing with Flutter in production, not that Flutter's
Yes.
now ready for production. Doesn't really clarify
Yeah.
that point.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There
Definitely.
we
Well-
go. I think we might do one of those as well, George.
Hmm.
Flutter London is George, by the way.
And others.
True, but usually George.
Yep.
Be sure to get your questions in with a queue in front of them.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay,
I see
there
that.
we go.
Question number 1.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Truman, you fixed it just before I could say anything about a queue.
Yep.
In the meantime, also if you've got any requests for live coding, we will try and get to those today. I'll get some live coding in.
Mhm.
And
So,
and
We're going to have
and
to keep the questions down if we do that, but I don't think that's going to be much of a problem today. It looks like we have a
Not today.
holiday turnout.
Yeah,
It's a slow day.
a little slow.
It's a slow day.
Yeah.
So
okay. It could open the door to more coding.
let me do my plug for my channel then, because I just
Go for it.
restarted publishing stuff to my channel. I put the link in the YouTube chat. And it's already been well received. Simon has frequently on this show talked about that a container is really just a bunch of individual discrete steps, and I showed actually how that all gets built in a nice little 9-minute video talking about why container is convenient, but it doesn't let it be. Here goes that word that we're talking about before the show: constable, the ability to const something. Yeah, because it makes computations, it makes choices and stuff, and we can't push all that down to a constant evaluation time. So there are things though that are within it, like if you want to add a color to a widget, you use a colored box, and that's exactly what container is doing inside. But if you just did just the colored box, you could make it a const widget that way.
Yes.
And so there's advantages to that. Definitely advantages in terms of performance, right? More things we can have const, the more things do not even have to be evaluated on each build pass. It goes, I already got this. This is done. You know,
And
where a
don't
container
believe
has
the
to keep rebuilding
brouhaha
it.
on Twitter about not needing to use const.
Yeah. You definitely
That's
need to use it.
just
Right.
wrong. Now, there, I understand where some people are coming from, because a lot of times in a Flutter app, making a few things const here and there is not going to make a big difference in performance.
Right.
That's true, especially if your screen is not refreshing for like 10 seconds at a time, then really no one cares. However, the minute you start using an animation without const, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Big trouble. So it's just a good practice, and really it's a good practice and a good habit to get into. So just do it all the time.
It's
That way you
nice
won't forget
also.
when you need it.
It's nice also that the recent lints, Flutter lints, if the only thing you have inside a container is color, it will actually suggest to you now, can you extract that and just make it a colored box? It does that for 2 or 3 different things. I can't remember which ones they are, but it knows that if you're only using one of the many options, one of the 9 options, I think it is, then it can do the right thing. Anyway, go look up my video, watch my video, and there'll be more. I want to get back into having like at least a release once a week, if not more often than that. So definitely looking for little topics like this to cover. So also, if you have a suggestion for something you want to see me explain, please put that in the comments on the show, or I have a zillion ways that you can get a hold of me. So take advantage of that. There we go. That's my plug for the day.
Okay. Sherman, you got 3 good questions, but try and let somebody else get one in here.
Before we start, I posted
We'll get
one
them all.
video.
Don't get me wrong.
I posted one video about Flutter desktop and the state of what was the current
Yes.
state. So
You
if
talking
you
about Canonical?
could like yes, from Canonical, and if you can share the link. So because
I got it right here.
from the video, I think they're looking for feedback how the API will look like and what's the current state. So if you're interested, just go there, because I think that Flutter desktop doesn't get much attention.
I posted it.
So yeah.
Okay, did somebody just beat me to that?
That's it. I posted it.
Simon said that.
I was just about to send it.
Thank you.
Too late. Too slow.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. It's on Twitter. We saw it, or it's on Blue Sky. We saw it earlier. And it's what is it? 42 minutes? Yeah, 43 minutes.
I don't watch anything with that's that long.
2 times speed.
Of course, yeah, I do 2x a lot. I'm crazy that way now. 2x for everything.
But yeah, I mean, it looks really cool because it's Canonical is
They're basically leading the charge on the desktop development.
Yeah.
And as Raph said, it's Ubuntu Summit 2024 Flutter State of the Union.
Nice. Yeah, Ubuntu's been great to move the desktop forward, at least for the Linux world. So,
Yep.
and if I'm not mistaken, their current installer is written in Flutter.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
that's
Even more
something-
than that.
they went
So
live
there
with
is
that.
installer, there's store is in Flutter, and I think like
Oh.
firmware updater is in Flutter.
wow.
They have like the whole UI toolkit, which is based on Flutter, so we can just import that and do Ubuntu apps because I think
Is-
they want to push it.
Is there a secret Easter egg to detect whether it is written in Flutter on Ubuntu or not?
I don't know.
Because on
Look for
mobile,
it.
of course, we had the 2 finger scrolling, which they got rid of. But
Hey Randall, you're a 2x developer. You watch tutorials faster than anyone else.
Yep.
2x, yes, twice the power.
Of course, we could write our own client so that we can play it at 3x speed.
Well, I can play it at whatever speed I want. It's just 2 is about the limit for me listening.
Does the pitch go? Does the pitch go up as well? Doesn't it? So it's like
No, not for YouTube. YouTube, I just hit 2x all the
do
time.
this. Which one does the pitch go? Is it? 'Cause normally when you speed things up, isn't the pitch goes up and you have to correct for it, right?
Right.
No, well, now everything is all smart and it all does pitch maintenance even during speed up and slow down.
Well, that's what I
So-
mean. Like as a developer, you would have to like kind of consider that.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I
I
have
don't
a
know.
hotkey.
I kind of like the high pitched squeaky voice.
No, that gets grating. Yeah, no. You didn't have to grow up around Alvin and the Chipmunks, I think.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I did. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's a lot more widespread than I thought. Okay.
I'm actually the theme tune's running around my head now. You said that.
Well, it's Christmas time. It's nice that we're talking about Alvin and the Chipmunks because they had released that Christmas album that was very famous. So,
Oh god,
yes,
save us.
yes, right. At least so far, I haven't heard the Wham or the Mariah Carey song that would kick me out of the contest. So, and don't play it live here. That would be bad. That would be very bad because there'd be a bunch of people that would mess up.
That's a way to get your stream like taken off air.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Exactly.
Are we going to kill more time or are we going to start with some questions?
We do have questions. We have
I
a
have
number
time.
of questions.
All right. Dart mappable versus freezed versus JSON serializable versus manual for data class conversion performance.
What?
Oh.
What?
And what's the question? It's like, yes.
I'm not seeing a question here. Since for data, like, I think he wants to know which one should we use for data class conversion performance, and the answer is any of them.
Yes.
They're probably doing the same thing.
They're all the
However,
same. Like,
however,
look at the generic code.
I will argue that even though Dart mappable is by our friend, the guy that wrote Jasper, he screwed up the definition of 2JSON, and we are constant argument about that back and forth. So, and it's still broken as far as I'm concerned. So I'm trying not to recommend.
I got to see what this is now. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, another one of Shreeman's questions. This shows a certain approach here.
Yeah.
Why is there very low performance of Dart in a 1 billion loop of Fibonacci? Well,
because you've done
okay,
a 1
what I'm
billion
seeing
loop.
here is a min-max.
Mm.
Okay, and fortunately, Flutter does not really need to be min-maxed unless you are trying to do something ridiculously high performance. But yeah, a lot of times we haven't looked into these things because doing Flutter is not like doing video games. You're not trying to get every last frame.
I will say, so did any of you see Slava's post about performance? Hang on.
Yep.
Which one? Saw it go by.
Slav's. Are you talking about one from like 5 years ago, 4 years ago?
No, it's recent, like this hours ago. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I've got the blog post here. I'll put it in the chat for anyone it's really interesting. I'll bring it up on stream because why not? We got something to talk about. Share.
Share and share alike.
But yeah, Shreeman, we haven't really looked into the nitty gritty performance of Dart and things like that in those extreme kind of cases because they don't really come up, at least not yet. Now, once people start using the 3D engine that's coming, that might be a different story. We might need to start min-maxing, but we're not there yet.
So check this out. Read this. Look, I think this might be the 1 billion nested thing he's talking about. But yeah, look. So wake up, babe. New microbench just dropped. Java and Kotlin are basically saying here. Look, so Dart, where's Dart? Down here, 1.34 seconds. Yeah, Kotlin is at 0.56, and then obviously Rust 0.5, and then C 0.5 as well. So I'm assuming this is decimal. I mean, 56 seconds. No, this would be because you got 80. Yeah, so this is decimal seconds, right? So this is not 80 seconds. This is 0.8 seconds.
A second.
Right. So this would be 1 second and 0.8 of a second, which 800 milliseconds, right? Anyway, right. Anyway, so you can see Dart's quite down here. Anyway, I won't go through that. You can go. I posted the link in the chat if anyone wants to read it. But basically, goes through and works out why it's so slow. It turns out that the compiler didn't do something right, and he talks about, well, first of all, the example was not correct. There's also the example, of course, was they're using a where is it? He states that anyway. Basically, they weren't using an int32 array. They're using a list of int, which is obviously there's micro differences between them, but explains the differences between the other languages. So that's the JavaScript version, comparing it to the updated Dart version int64 list. It slowly gets performance increases and looks at the disassembly and works out what's going on. I won't bore everyone with the details. However, what it turns out to be, I'm going to skip into this a little bit more. There you go. This line was added. Do you see that, Randall?
Yeah, A sub I.
By referencing the AI at the beginning of the loop, it's essentially pre-caching that variable, and it can optimize out the references inside the loop for setting that into a register.
Weird. Oh, that's weird.
And then it can then set it afterwards, right? But this is because of the way you're using it, right? So you're doing an inside reference, and it didn't know how to optimize it out. However, he's fixed it out. Look, this is promote loop accessors to scalars or whatever. But you can also do this. This is the same, right? So V equals AI, and then you improve V, and then V gets set back into AI, right? So you're essentially it's exactly the same code. However, you're not accessing the array on each iteration, right? The compiler can normally optimize some of that stuff out, and anyway, he talks about all the various use cases and how this can be improved. But how it actually did make it dropped. It basically like knocked off, like, I think it was half a second off the results by doing this. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be marginal. And the fact of the matter is, like, this is not it's a great little performance benchmark, don't get me wrong, but these are micro benchmarks, right? Like, are they testing real world use cases?
Probably not.
So it's nice, but I think there's
Have you seen the updated benchmark? This graph, because someone actually made a PR.
Oh, really? Where?
Check the chat. The last
in the private chat. Hang on, let me bring it up. Is it? Where's it put things now?
Second to C or Odin, so like fourth place.
Let's bring it up. Let's bring it up on stream. Hang on.
Click.
Where's the button?
Button.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there you go. Dart 0.529 next to Odin Fortran C at 0.518. Swift at 0.541. Above Java, Kotlin 5.6. I mean, what's the difference between 0.56 and 0.52 for 1 billion iterations of a loop?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, it's marginal at best.
I was discussing optimizations yesterday with somebody
I mean,
online, and I
this
said the
is the-
most important optimization is programmer efficiency, because you want to
Mhm.
make sure, because you're the most expensive part of the entire system.
So if you look at all of these, here's the thing: if you look at all of these ones at the top are going to be jitted or compiled, right? So if you come down all the way down to the list, it's when you start getting down into the even PHP jitter 2.4 is ridiculously slow, to be fair, but like PHP 10 seconds. This is the interpreted stance, right? So this is then you got Ruby JIT, YJIT, which is just atrocious, but then Ruby I expect to be interpreted, Python interpreted, Lua interpreted, R interpreted. So this is why we say, oh, you don't want to be using like PHP for doing process of images and things like that, because look, 10 seconds to 1 second, that's a big difference when it comes to this many iterations you might need to do to process pixel data or something like that, right? Like that's a huge difference. It's the difference between like waiting and an hour rather than 1 minute, right? Like over an hour, like 2 hours versus 1 minute. Sorry,
The good thing is that I think he will fix this promotion of variable in the loop, so you won't have to do that anyway.
Yeah, you won't have to. But I mean, like again, though, it's like a very particular use case, right?
Yeah.
And it's like this is more about that. What you need to do is not be concerned about, like, especially when you're in app development, right? Like, what the hell you care about this for? Like, literally has no part at all into app development, right? You just need to know that it's compiled and that's going to run more efficiently than uncompiled code, right? I mean, the fact of the matter is if you're doing any sort of processing like that, you're going to be doing it at in another language or another library anyway that's already pre-written for that. So let's say like JPEG encoding or something else. I mean, you can do it in Dart, and it has been done in Dart. And we have the libraries that do that, but again, you want the benefit of many years of performance, and you need to live JPEG, right? Like, so it goes for the rest of it. So, but luckily we have FFI, which means we can take advantage of all those things.
And that's probably what most of those interpreted languages are doing, like Python and stuff for machine learning. They just use FFI and C.
Oh yeah, like Python actually, like all the machine learning libraries in Python, they all compile to C, and then those libraries then
and Python is just a glue.
And just glued to Python, right? As the glue logic. But this kind of gives you the best of both worlds in a lot of cases, right?
True.
And there's no problem with that.
So I've got an interesting observation here. Flutter is used by a lot of big companies for a lot of big things. Everybody from BMW to Toyota, Canonical is recommending it for, Ubuntu, et cetera, et cetera. Yet we keep getting this dumb question, is Flutter dead? Is Flutter dead? Blah, blah, blah. Well, here's an interesting question, okay? GetX or RiverPod? Now, I thought GetX was dead because I don't know a single large company that's using GetX, right? Didn't Google sell it off? Oh, wait, no, that's a rumor about Flutter that's not true. But yeah, I mean, isn't GetX dead?
No. They had a release recently, some sort of dev release. So it wasn't really a real.
You're no fun.
Well, I don't know whether you're being serious or not. You're being very good.
No, I'm definitely not being serious.
Okay, well then I won't answer the question seriously. I'll shut up. I'm not awake enough. Remember, this is my morning.
I want to just show some things here. Hang on. Let's see if I can bring this up.
No, RiverPod all the way. Never GetX. GetX really isn't even Flutter anymore. It hasn't been Flutter in a long, long time.
And Shreeman's comment is probably appropriate too. Anyway,
so I don't know if you guys know, but if you go to, not necessarily recommended, but if you go to pub.dev/experimental, you get this page where you can turn on download counts. You can toggle it on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, you now get how many download counts a package has had in I think it's raw downloads within the last week or something like that. I can't remember what exact metrics are. However, it is a reference metric that you can then use, right? So you can see some of the most downloaded packages, right? Which you'd expect to be these core sort of underlying things, right?
Yeah.
However, when you go look at, let's say we go provider, well, we can do, what was it, a Riverpod? Let's do Riverpod. Riverpod at 1.68, right?
Well, that's not
3,400.
Flutter Riverpod, though. In
Flutter
addition
Riverpod,
to that, there's also 1.62 more.
right,
Yeah.
sure. And then we go and do the same search for get. If I get the right actual package match, I don't, it's not trying to. There we go. We have 644K downloads.
Yep.
Yeah.
Factor 3
Right.
to 1.
Exactly. The numbers just don't add up when you talk about how many likes it's had versus actually how active it is.
That's how many
sorry.
bots
And
it's had.
considering half of the likes that it got in a 3-day period.
It's apparently the most liked package on Pub right now, more than provider. And look at the download counts. I mean, this just says it all. It's not, to me, the fact that we saw this happen before, I just can't go behind it like that. They're just.
How long did it take you to find the method that you can trigger in the API to create a like?
I can't remember what it was.
90 seconds.
But I mean, like, these things can always be gamed. Like, that's not the point. The point is that someone's gaming it, and it's like, well, you're not going to get behind someone's trying to game the system, right? Like to benefit themselves, right? That's just not what this is about. So, anyway, so
I mean, if you look at it,
Flutter block 2.3 7. It's like,
yeah, it's just.
Anyway.
The math doesn't math.
Math doesn't math. So that's all we're talking about, that subject.
Yep.
Also, the guy. No, I'll say. Yeah.
Speaking of Riverpod,
what about it?
Why should Riverpod notifiers not have UI related stuff like text editing controllers or animation controllers? I'm not quite sure.
Wrong layer. That's the problem. You don't want anything in the data layer that really belongs in the view layer. And text editing controllers, animation controllers, those all belong in the view layer. And
this is a great time to introduce the audience to the new documentation presented on Flutter.dev.
This is not a read you're going to be able to get done over lunch. No. This is really in depth. I have already put 3 hours into this, going over it carefully with a fine-tooth comb, and including it talks about the command pattern. So I stopped and took some time to go take a good look at the command pattern. And I am maybe a third of the way through it.
But this is what Randall was talking about. You want to separate your UI from the logic, from the data layer. So having these layers means you're not like binding the two things so tightly coupling the two layers or the things together. Because if you want to change something like a model, then you have to change lots of other places within your application. Where if you can have nice transition points between your concepts, then you can help refactor and rewrite your code as required as you go. Like there's very much benefits to doing
the cost for not following this kind of a layering system is that when you have to swap things in and out, there's a lot more fingers in the pie to try to get straightened up. But also what you need to think about is testing. If the layers are intermingled, the testing becomes phenomenally harder because you have to simulate now both data services and view management because you have something that's a mixed data and view thing. So, but the layers are tested easier.
I'm going to give an example of what we see pictured here, right? If you need to test a repository A and it's using Service 1 and Service 2, you mock those going in, and then you can also mock the view model going out, or the output of it. You can have it send to somewhere like a stream. Now you can test repository A against the bits it connects to without having to have the entire rest of the application existing and mocked, right? And that's what we're talking about, right? having that separation means you can do that. Anyway, I won't go into this, but we've been through all of these kind of concepts on the stream before, like services, domain layer. There's also there's a bunch of stuff in here around. It's all kind of changed a bit now. Ways you can do stuff. There's more stuff going here every day. This is great.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but these guys can tell you, there are people who will tell you that I wrote the book on rows and columns, the Flex, with a 4-part monstrosity that I put on Medium. And that took me about 4 months. Well, I can tell you from reading this took somebody a minimum of 6 months to put together, at least. So there is a tremendous amount of fantastic information in here, but you can't treat this as something you're going to read in an afternoon. This is something you should go over slowly. Make sure you digest every part of it as you go along, and plan on it taking a week or two. Do it in small sessions. Eat an elephant one bite at a time.
I can't even find the bits I was looking for now, but they're in there somewhere.
But yeah, this is one of the most comprehensive pieces I've ever seen.
Architecture concepts, separation of concerns. That's what we're just talking about. Layered architecture, single source of truth, unidirectional data flow. These are all concepts we've mentioned here repeatedly that you need to look into and understand. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll shut up now about that. What's next? Before we get too on to the next one, Randall, yeah, I looked it up. When you were talking about the from JSON, were you talking about this? It's got from a string.
No, to JSON.
Oh, because I noticed here from JSON takes a string and from map takes a map, right? Which isn't exactly what we're used to. But this is the way I used to do my original apps, because I put the JSON parsing in the from JSON function, which kind of made sense. The naming of from JSON has never made sense to me, because you're not going from JSON, you're going from a map, right?
Right. What to JSON and from JSON mean in the standard protocol as the way that was designed for the top level, really to JSON mappable and from JSON mappable. In other words, to or from a object type that knew how to go directly into or out of JSON.
Yeah, the problem I've got with that, right, is you end up with, and we've seen that actually, Slava, the guy who we're just talking about the pops, he actually did a great talk at Flutter Viking. Flutter and Friends, which is up online. You can go watch it. I recommend it. But he did a great talk about parsing some JSON and the performance he was getting, and how he fixed a bunch of performance issues in Dart around this. And it's kind of interesting, because you do get this intermediate representation, right? Like you get, when you go from JSON, you're not going straight from JSON a lot of times into maybe objects. You're going into, if you do essentially a JSON string into a map, you're actually making a middle step, and you're taking that map and then you can convert that into objects. And that's the thing I feel that we should be getting rid of, because it's not necessary, that middle layer. If we can have a JSON line, if we had JSON libraries that went straight to the models, then, and even if we did it in a streamed approach, so rather than having to parse the entire thing, you can actually parse out the layer that you want. So if you only want like a certain part of the JSON structure, you can retrieve that out.
Right. Yeah.
These are things that we need, right?
I agree, but the protocol of .to JSON and .from JSON are burned in. If you go to the JSON encode page, it describes the details of when will the extra method be called, can do the conversion, what the method names it's looking for is. Very specific protocol. And if you mess with that,
you have to
override. Start mappable doesn't respect.
And that's the reason I think some people do like from JSON and then from JSON string and to JSON string, stuff like that, where it allows you to have both but doesn't mess up the protocol, because that protocol is really ingrained into the architecture. The to encodable actually lets you work around that problem, by the way, but it's still a massive pain. Right. Okay, I guess next question. Also, Randall, you're so reflective right now. You're iridescent.
I'm gonna have to find my Google I/O cap, because I think I'm gonna need that real quick, or I'm not gonna be able to see the screen. So
So you need one of these.
Be right back. I'll be right back.
Man down.
You can take yourself off, you know. Randall has admin authority, but does not appear to use it very often.
Well, right. Let's crack on with some questions.
Who's doing the advent of code with Dart?
If I had time.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I don't think any of us are, but we highly recommend it.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know,
Is
I'll
there
be
an
happy to
invite
do it if
code?
somebody else will come over here and take care of everything that needs to be taken care of here at the house.
Right.
So, all righty. Interesting, serious question here. How can apps counter fake signups that are using temp emails and numbers? Any good practices or strategies to try to ensure you have genuine users?
Um,
I'm not sure white was the correct choice.
It's not brightly lit by the sun. It's actually overpowering my camera.
It's the light bulb in Randall's head going off constantly with ideas.
I have an idea.
How can you counter fake signups using temp emails and numbers? Any good practices? Well, I mean,
don't be on the net.
Well, first of all, have them validate their email beforehand.
Right, which I think is a temp email.
No, but if it's a temp email, but it's also not just one that just typed in randomly. People put too many places that you just type an email in and don't validate the email before allowing you to utilize their product, which means you can type in anyone's email address or any name and it just lets you straight in, which is ridiculous in my eyes. Either way, if you're doing email login like that, then you're going to allow them to put an email in. I think the question here is what you need to do is if an account's not been used for a long time, send out email saying we're going to disconnect your app, and then the people that don't reply, you delete their accounts and sign-ins, right? That's really what you should be doing. There's no way if you're going to allow email password sign up and sign in, well then you're going to do it, right? I mean, you could try and do some. I've seen this before. You can try and do some like email. You can try and do some of those things where you're detecting if you think there's combinations or things of fake emails, and you can remove them. And there's services that you can block, like things that end in certain like domains that you could say, "Oh, I don't accept emails that from this place," right? And then the day is there's no guarantees, so you know.
One thing I would suggest, though, is instead of just deleting the accounts, I would suspend them, at least for a while, because a lot of people don't read every email that they get.
Yeah.
Me.
But, you know, whatever way you want to do it. The other thing here is, I would say, is why would people be using temporary emails and numbers? You perhaps need to think about how you approach your app in a way that says you don't require an email to get into the app and see the data. Only when they perform certain actions, they need to log in, and then they need to set up an account. That way, if you're not putting like a login at the front door, then they're not going to be tempted to put a fake email in and sign up with a fake address or whatever else because it's more hassle, right? Like if they can use the product and then go, oh, actually, I really want to use this, they're going to sign up with their real account, right? So, you know, there's some ways about thinking about this, but generally the other one is don't allow email and password sign in, and I have them sign in with social accounts like Google. Then you're using Google's ability to detect true accounts, right? And validate their accounts. Google actually have a policy, and I know others do as well, other socials, where they'll actually notify you when an account gets suspended, so you can delete their account from your product, and that's a whole thing you can do as well. So if there is a fake account and they find it to be a fake or malicious account in some way, and they delete it, the account will be deleted off your system as well. So you don't have an account lying around for ages. But either way, you need to be doing account cleanup, right? Like so many accounts are created on these on services that are used once and never used again, and like you know, so ask the user if they don't reply or they don't log in within the next 90 days, account's going to be removed. Send out an email. suspend them in 60 days, delete them in 90 days. That way, once a quarter, you're guaranteed to have a clean slate. Done. Yeah, I can't think of anything else really to add to that.
All righty.
Next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Humpday.
This-
That's
It's
a new
tummy.
version.
It's all the work I'm doing, and this tummy and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me tired.
All right. Pen test report on our Flutter app has highlighted Android exported equals true in the manifest as a potential security risk. Yes? No? I thought this is a requirement for a Flutter app.
No, I don't
Right.
think it is a requirement.
Right. What are you exporting?
Hmm.
You haven't said what you're exporting. That's the difference. So, you know, when you create a normal Flutter app, it does say exported on the main activity, which is correct. It might be because it's just detecting that you reference exported and saying that's a problem. It's not knowing what you're doing it on. But I think by default, the only thing I can think, because you only have one thing in the manifest, which is the main activity, which is exported true, which is correct. I think that's your I automation pen test failure or some stupid at the pen test company. Because how else are the user going to open up your app if there's no main activity?
Well, I'm looking at it right now, and in a default Flutter app, it does say Android exported equals true with no other explanation.
No. It says that in the activity. I'm looking at in the manifest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Because line 6 is the activity. Okay.
That's the
activity. Android name main activity exported equals true.
Yeah. So that's the entry point of your app, which has to be exported so people can actually load the app. It's not just on Flutter apps, on every Android app. So yes, Alan, that's not a problem with yours. That's a problem with them.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a good one. What are the most common design patterns to use in projects? Do you recommend any books about patterns? Several, actually.
I mean, we just went through that whole website, which actually had great one.
That's a big part of it. They talk about the command pattern.
And when it comes to design patterns,
yep, this is generic and language agnostic. That one is Flutter specific. Written by our very own Daria, Ezra, and Jamie.
Yeah.
Not this one.
Packed. So Flutter design patterns and best practices. First edition.
And head first design patterns. Now,
you
notice we didn't mention the Gang of Four book, which we all have. The Gang of Four book is a reference book for after you already understand the patterns. If you try to learn from that book, you will want to jump off a bridge.
The language of the book is written, so it's got really good reference. Don't get me wrong; it's got some really great diagrams and materials and everything else. But the wording in here it's directed towards C and C++, and it's directed towards people from the mid 70s. So the terminology that's in here is not current, right? That's what we're saying. So just be warned.
It's also, you have to be an engineer to follow what they're talking about. Really, it's written by engineers for engineers.
I'm going to also introduce a slightly controversial take on this, is that patterns are humanware to make up for broken design of software. And I mean it that way, in that the patterns aren't somehow magically universal. The patterns were to solve problems that for the particular languages from which they were derived. The reason I know this is that the Smalltalk best practice patterns was originally supposed to be modeled on Gang of Four, but it turns out Smalltalk doesn't have the same kind of problems that the Gang of Four was addressing. Yeah. And so it is very language specific. So when somebody say the singleton pattern, you got to go, okay, that's solving a problem in a particular language framework. but it might not be needed to be solved here.
So,
So,
let's get it back to, they're asking about in Flutter.
Yeah, before we disappear, so this is 1977, right?
Yeah.
And the reason it's called Gang of Four is because it's written by 4 authors, which were nicknamed the Gang of Four, just so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and that is the go-to reference book for after you understand this, or if you have a degree in software engineering, in which case you already know about the book. So, but the common design patterns used in projects, one that we will never get away from is the observer pattern, because that's all of our state management. No matter what you're doing there, it's some form of the observer pattern, because you are observing something and then reacting to it. You can't do a reactive paradigm without an observer pattern. Just doesn't work. Composition. Every widget is composed of other widgets. So we use composition over inheritance. State pattern, I believe the command pattern is also mentioned. Facade pattern is a big one. I mean, which facade pattern is also known as the repository pattern.
Yeah, name all the patterns and you're done. There you go. Right, let's move on.
So yeah, get the book from Darian Esra and Jamie.
Strategy pattern's actually another one that we use quite often.
Yeah, strategy pattern is all about interfaces. Yeah.
I mean, they're all this thing. So here's the problem, right? Like, we talk about patterns, right? And there's no magic around patterns. The real thing is, it's a bit like if I'm talking to Scott about something I wrote in code, I can say that's a singleton, and it's just a way that you construct the code, the way that you organize the code. And we know, because we've named that organization of code something, we can both talk about the same topic and understand it, right? So it's really the whole idea around design patterns is not necessarily saying you have to stick to this exact way of doing it. It's more about a way of, in your head, structuring something together in common ways of linking object-oriented classes together to achieve common goals. But there's no like finite list of patterns that you have to learn, right?
Yeah.
And once you start joining things together and using them, it all goes out the window anyway. So,
because you have code that's part of multiple patterns and things are overlapping, and yeah. You can, if you try to take a bird's eye view of the whole thing at one time, it's going to look like a mess. But you can, how should I put it? It's like a cloth made up of threads of many different colors. You can trace a single thread, which would be a single pattern. But when you step back and look at the whole thing, it's all a blend of colors. And that's what's happening with your app, is it's a blend of all kind of different patterns. Because every single Flutter app is going to be using state, composite, observer, command. And then you can throw more in there, because Simon want to always use the repositories.
Someone just Frey just said, what about Manglitz's sign patterns? I didn't know he did any of that.
No, I didn't.
Look at this. Look at this on the left.
Get this link in the chat.
Singleton, like he's done blog posts in 2019 for like every different pattern here.
Oh my God.
Look,
how did I miss
proxy
this?
memento, flyweight, chain responsibility. This looked like the entire list from the Gang of Four, though. So, but he's doing it in Flutter, which is interesting. So, like the flyweight pattern with Flutter, that's pretty cool. I have to say that looks pretty. Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, can we get this link not only in the regular chat but also in the backstage chat, because I can't click on the regular chat.
The other place I'd look for this is to make sure that you're familiar with the Flutter cookbook, because those are essentially patterns. Everything that's listed in there are patterns specific to Flutter and should be used as a way of understanding that. And I was thinking that as you guys were talking about, well, there's this list of everything from the Gang of Four, but a stateful widget and its correlation with the state object is a pattern that really only Flutter has. And so it's useful, though, to learn the shape and the nuances of that. And that won't show up in any book like Gang of Four, because it's not a one-to-one match with anything.
I've got this thing bookmarked.
This is really good. I like this. There's lots of it's modern. There's lots of examples. There's Flutter and Dart examples in all of this. This is great resource. This is brilliant. This should be a book. This you should do this into a book. There you go. The design Flutter design patterns book done.
We should talk to him about getting this. How would we get this into the Flutter community medium? Maybe a single article with a link that points to it.
Yeah, that would do it.
Anyway,
all right. Moving onward.
Sorry, this is so his humor. Sorry, single implementation using Dart magic.
Magic.
It's so him. Anyway, right.
What's your go-to solution for navigation in Flutter? Well, for me, it comes down to the question of, do I need to invalidate the entire stack at more than just logout? If so, I'd probably go with GoRouter and use GoRouter Go for that in order to nuke the stack. Otherwise, I don't really see a whole lot of reason for anything unusual beyond Navigator 1 if you're not doing deep linking. If you're not doing deep linking.
I mean, to be honest, I've been using GoRouter on a new project, and it's kind of pissed me off, to be honest. Like it's just got in my way too much than I really care to say. I mean, I feel like I was looking at this the other day, like actually implementing a Nav2 stack and not using router and just the Pages API with Navigator 1, like a Navigator widget, works brilliantly.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is, I mean, I imagine there are a lot of cases where GoRouter is the way to go. I mean, it's way too popular and way too thoroughly battle tested to be a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all.
No.
The question is, do you really need those capabilities for what you're doing?
It's interesting because I think like there's a for anyone, I use Navigator 1 and then GoRouter. That's literally what I've been using. I haven't had to need anything use anything else. And then I just had some problems recently with some deep linking and some other things that were just end up being way more difficult with GoRouter in the way I was trying to do things inside the app. So,
and what's your opinion of this? Because to me, I mean, a well-designed app is going to only have a few screens, even though it looks like it has many. But it's only going to have a few screens where the contents are injected. And a whole lot of things in that screen are injected, and you reuse the same screen over and over for different things because you're injecting.
It depends on the app. I'm going to disagree completely on that.
That's true. But then the thing is you've only got a few screens to navigate to.
I've seen apps which are plenty more than that. That's quite reasonable. It depends on the application. Like an e-commerce app is going to have more shapes of content than others. Yeah,
but e-commerce app comes down to what, 10 different screens?
No, they can do a lot more than that. There's normally a lot of it goes on inside account management. You've got your detailed page and content, but then the details of products normally vary based on the category of the product, right? So you may have like one screen, but actually it's many screens and guised in many screens, right? Because you might have something like electronics versus garden versus something else, and then like you might get a spec sheet.
But the page that the details are being shown on is pretty much the same format.
No,
it's like Amazon. Every time you click into an Amazon page for details, the pictures are on the left, right? The description's below. It's the same page.
I wouldn't say it's only 10 pages. It really depends. We had many more pages. It probably also depends if you are doing web.
So anybody here going to come to my defense in chat?
No.
Anybody?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on the app, right? But yeah, most simple apps, you know, you only have a few screens to have to worry about, right? But yeah, no.
Either there's
considering
a
that
lot of lag or nobody's backing me up.
right. Let's go. Let's crack on.
Yeah,
All
next
right,
question.
all right. What do we think about Flock? We think you should have been here last week.
Yeah.
And
Or the week before, or the week before, or the week before.
Yep.
So you can go watch those.
I liked somebody
Rewind
on the
them.
Flutter team put it best. They said anything that is a serious effort to try to make things better is always a good thing.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, what typically ends up happening is that the solutions that are found and the good things that come out of it in Flock will almost certainly make their way back into the original Flutter because somebody's going to pull them out and put it in as a PR. So overall, it's a good thing. And the way I see this going myself, this is just me, but I see Flock being started, doing some good work, that good work being merged back into Flutter as a PR. And then all of a sudden, because Flock did solve those problems and put those solutions into the Flutter framework, that Flock wouldn't be necessary anymore because Flutter would contain all the solutions that were pioneered by Flock.
Yep.
Flock did have a downside in that it threw fuel on the fire for Flutter is dead. And so in that way, it could have been handled better. I think that's a big problem.
It's GetX that's dead.
It's
yeah, let's make this straight. Let's keep this straight.
From the like to
Flutter's not
download
dead.
ratio, there's something very broken there. So GetX has fallen down. It's dead.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but you can take a look at what Linux and Linux distributions are doing. Where they're basically forking stuff, right? And in the end, they end up with better solution, right? That's how the whole Linux got better.
This is it. Like this thing. Like suddenly, it's like, let's say Flock. They put something in Flock, and it's like better than something the team have. The team can then go, the Flutter team can go, actually, it's a great idea. We should bring that in. Right? I mean, there you go. And then they bring it in and it's better for everyone. And there's no negative here. And why think of all this stuff in a negative? It's perception.
Alex, that's kind of what I was talking about. It probably won't get merged wholesale. They will probably pick and choose things out of it and put them in as individual PRs.
Let's say nothing gets merged. It's still a valid effort, you know?
Yeah.
Like already, there's been improvements from this. You know, we're going to see some merging of some repos and some other structural changes just to kind of like bring things into line. Just because it's been highlighted how difficult it is to build Flutter from source, which we all know. I mean, Raphael and I definitely knows that's how difficult this is. So like I know as well, and it's like, you know, it's not simple to build a Flutter engine, then link that up and build the tooling around it, and then the actual Flutter itself, right? So, and Dart, if you need to build Dart on top of that, it's even so
anybody who is in the Flutter Discord knows, believe me, they're already being pushed. They're already pushed as pushed can get. The only way that they can get pushed any harder is if somebody at Google would loosen up some money to put some more people on the team.
Sorry. Could knock out Flutter even in hours. Yeah, easy.
You can't see my eyebrow go up.
Yeah.
Right.
It's being held down. All right. So where is we?
Next.
Got some more things.
Okay. I think I'm going to butcher this question a little bit, but I think we get the general gist. Is it possible to communicate from an Android app using USB with a Raspberry Pi? I would like to transmit video from a camera connected via CSI and send simple messages back and forth. Isn't this? There was a
TV show.
discussion.
So
Now it's probably something different, but weren't we saying something about you just plug in a Raspberry Pi into an Android device and it hooks up?
that
for
was
certain-
that wasn't a
something
Raspberry Pi. That was a Arduino, I think. at the time.
Yes, that was an Arduino
But-
board.
Similar concept. So via an Android app, via USB OTG with Raspberry Pi.
Does Raspberry Pi support OTG?
Well, here's the thing: you could power the Raspberry. There's some interesting things you can go on here, I guess. I mean, you could power the Raspberry Pi via the USB socket and then connect wirelessly via local Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi Direct and all that kind of stuff to it. I don't know actually. So the Raspberry Pi itself, I don't think you can configure the USB ports on it to be anything other than a USB multifunction device. If you can, then there's no reason why you can't configure your own like serial port or VID, PID, and then have you can configure user mode drivers in Android as Android apps inside of Android, so that once the device is plugged in, it goes, oh, would you like to open it up with this app? And you say yes, and then it will split up the app and give your app permissions to access the USB device. That's all built into Android. So, I mean, effectively, you could rewrite you could just put whatever firmware you want onto the Raspberry Pi, and yes, you can do it. It's just really about how much effort you want to go through. But there's no reason why you can't transmit the camera, the data coming from this over the CSI port for the camera that's connected, with some scripts running on the Raspberry Pi to a local network interface, and then have that read by the Android device. If you can get if you do networking over the USB port, then there's no reason why you couldn't do like a local connection through the USB that way as well. Yeah.
According to Google, Raspberry Pi 0, Compute Module, and Pi 5 support OTG.
Well, no, they support OTG, right? But OTG doesn't mean it means you can plug it into a non-host device, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right. It doesn't mean that it supports the OTG protocol. That doesn't mean it supports a way of communicating across that port, right? That's down to how the USB multifunction device on the end of the channel is configured. So for what I'm talking about here is so let's say you plug in for those that people watching, let's say you've got like a USB set of headphones, right? When you plug that into a computer, it's going to say, oh, you've connected some headphones, because it has a standard protocol, USB HID, human interface device, that identifies that device as headphones. And they have a standard software protocol for communicating with headphones. So all operating systems can communicate with your headset. This is standardized, right? In the USB specification. They do the same thing for there's a reason why USB drives have become popular everywhere, because there's a standard called mass storage in the USB standard that every operating system implemented, and now it means that I can plug in a USB stick into one machine, I can copy data onto this memory, whatever it is, and then I can plug into another machine and drop it off of that. And that's like revolution. You don't understand, if you went around before USB, how painful it was to transfer data between machines, right? And then before we even had floppy disk media and other things that we could transmit, how even worse it was. We had to connect cables between computers to transfer data. There was no standards. It wasn't like a network cable, just hook them up to the Wi-Fi. No, that didn't exist, right? So anyway, there's a big difference that was made by these things. Anyway, and the same goes for, as I was saying, you have like serial port, you have other standard interfaces. And if you can reprogram you can normally do this with a lot of embedded devices, reprogram the USB multifunction device to be whatever you want, even identify as a custom device with a custom protocol that you can define, then you can do whatever the hell you want, right? If, however, you're limited to what the Raspberry Pi is detected as, then that's another specific case.
Or when RS-232 only meant that you could plug two things in and they wouldn't blow up. The chances of them actually working together were pretty close to zero.
What was that? Was it
DTE
RS4?
versus DCE and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God. And
clear to transmit, CTS,
yeah, oh
and
yeah, RTS, request to
BTS,
send.
yeah,
Yeah.
request to send, yeah, and all the
Uh,
other like flags.
oh man, the signalings and the who was speaking and who was listening, and am I the computer or am I the modem? I mean, it was
Yeah.
like
And then it's
horrible
not just
stuff.
that. When you, as a programmer, you had to then think about receive and transmit on my side, or transmit and receive on the other side, right? So the other,
Right. Yeah. Oh, it was horrible. You kids don't know how bad it was back in the
I
early
had to walk
days.
15 miles to get to their store. Yeah. Yeah.
Remember when
Let's see.
RJ11
He's
didn't
all
always mean it
ones
worked
in
either?
binary.
Yes. I am all ones in binary. It's true.
My
I'm just
birthday's coming up, and I'm not that old.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to remember what that standard was. There was another 422 RS 422.
Oh, yeah, 422. Oh my God.
Yeah. That was the whole beast in itself. Like a lot of this stuff is still, which was crazy is like fundamentally the serial communications of RS-232, even though we don't specify 232 now anymore, like it's not being used. We still use UART, Universal Asynchronous Receiving Transmitting, like units, which are basically the fundamental process of communicating serially over connections, and it's still the same today. Like a lot of equipment still uses 232. So
there's a difference. I've got to pull this back because there's a difference between getting into the weeds and getting into the roots of the weeds.
Yeah, but people find it interesting.
Okay.
Right, okay.
We're beyond the weeds at this point.
If people don't find our little side quest interesting, let us know.
They wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be here though. I think they've
I
already
think people
noticed.
find it interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're trying to make this also more beginner friendly, but
yeah,
we're
they feel like
failing at that badly.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
How did they create the infinite scroll timeline scale that will zoom in to show extra details and still be scrollable in the History of Everything app? Well, the first thing to do is go check out the code for the History of Everything app.
Yes.
Which I will post in the chat.
Cool.
So that's where that all starts. But whoops. Not a good noise to make. Oops.
Yeah, no, that never. Well, you're not running a nuclear plant. You're not Homer Simpson. Then oops would be bad.
But if you take a look at this, you can read up on it, all this kind of stuff. The app itself is in under app because this is where you'll find the lib.
Timeline. There you go. Timeline right there.
Well, lib timeline. There you go.
Timeline widget.
So your answers are in there somewhere.
Go have fun.
I just realized that Homer wouldn't be saying oops. He'd be saying no.
Donuts.
Yeah.
Object-oriented programming versus functional programming.
Yes.
Age match. 2 go in, 1 comes out.
Purpose. What is your purpose, Padawan? You know, if you don't use a saw to pound a nail, and you don't use a screwdriver to cut wood.
So
I've been doing a lot of functional programming, and I did a lot more OOP before that. The thing that I found that makes it functional programming gives you a certain mindset, particularly of writing immutable data that doesn't exist sort of inherently in the classic objects with internal mutability. I think there's huge advantages in that for testing, for reusability, for all that sort of stuff. I also like the idea of capturing more of the state as these meta state things like either and option and things like that, because it allows us to introduce constructs that the language might not have inherently, but we can plug into by using the meta types, the higher order types. So functional programming, check it out. You know, if you aren't already familiar with it, there's plenty of things on that. I recommend books on Scala, and there's also a couple more that are Java based. In the Flutter world, in the Dart world, FP Dart is currently the most stable package for that. There are a couple of upcomers. One is called RIBS, RIBS. That's not out as a solid release yet, but it looks like it has some pretty interesting innovations that FP Dart didn't get to. So that's something to take in mind. Ribs_core is what you look for in pub. And there's a couple of other sort of minor ones. Do not use darts with a Z. I know a lot of documentation still refers to that, but that is a dead 2-year-old dead project. So don't even start with that. It's not documented very well. It's not complete, and it's nowhere near where FP Dart is. So
as long as we don't start talking about monads, I'm good.
I didn't say the M word. I know better than to do that. I do finally understand what it is finally, which is nice, except I can't explain it. And it's so correct. People who speak about it obviously don't know what they're talking about. And people who don't speak about it go, I get it, but I can't really explain it. I totally understand that now because I'm on the other side of that hump now. So yeah.
Monad. It's really, really simple. Okay.
No.
Monad equals inherited widget.
No, it doesn't.
No,
it's
no,
not
no,
even
no,
close.
no,
It's
no,
not even
no,
close
no.
to that. Yeah.
Right.
See?
Either you get it or you don't.
Well, there's a lot of things in life that are like that then into that category. For me, it would. No, I'll just stop.
Yeah, but the
yes,
cool
please.
thing from functional programming, you can watch the videos like Railway Programming, which basically teaches you how to avoid like the exceptions from many side.
Well, here, let me plug FP Dart on that again, because FP Dart, Sandro, the creator of FP Dart, wrote a bunch of tutorials, tons of stuff. He takes you from zero time with FP or with functional programming to really being able to use FP Dart nicely, and explains why we have these constructs in particular, because all the examples are FP Dart. It's really easy to read and play along with, and I've done FP Dart now in 2 production apps, and they were very happy with what they saw. So
I think he based this library on book Functional Programming in Scala, the red one. So
yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
that's very good library.
Yeah. Scala is the one that's the most complete in terms of having functionality at the core that really embodies the entire FP sort of state-of-the-art spectrum. There are other libraries that are like one piece or another of that. Haskell. Sorry, Haskell's actually the one that's most complete, but it's so much. But you have to run Haskell with its own system. It's at least Scala, you can squirt it into your Java app and mix and match that. But yeah. Anyway,
I remember doing some. I remember doing some of the functional stuff.
Sorry. I was just going to say we just cut questions off because we eventually do want to get to some code, right?
Oh yes. Yeah,
we're at an hour and 20 minutes, and just now we're cutting off questions.
So I think if you want to post anything about like live coding, please post in the chat now. If you have any requests or anything else, otherwise we'll peter around some topic, I'm sure. I was going to say, what was I going to say?
I don't know. Something about
you just reminded me like back in the day when you used to Scala with Java, like it would make a function. There was a function declared inside the output class files for everything that you've declared, right? So it can link all together and call it, which is fine. However, you would reach the Android method limit very quickly, which was 64K until we had multi dex coming in. Then it was chaos back then.
Yeah.
Just reminded me of that. It's been a while.
Okay. Cool.
Anyway, yeah.
Wow. Moving on. Next. Push button, Scott.
Yeah, sorry. I was just checking into something else real quick.
Yep.
All right. My app redirects to a payment gateway where they display no cancel or back button. Can I use a web view to show a top bottom bar with a cancel button? Is that a good idea?
That's fine. I mean, as long as you're like capturing the problem here is once they start the payment flow, you probably don't want to have to cancel anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, yeah, there's probably, I mean, here's the problem with payments, right? Let's say, and you've got to be really careful. First of all, payments is one of those things where you're dealing with someone's money. You don't want to be charging someone twice for something, right? You don't want to be charging like, well, not charging them and then sending them the goods or something like that as well. So you're dealing with a very important piece of program. You can't get it wrong, right? So you need to think about all those edge cases, all those situations where errors can occur. So for example, someone pressing the payment button and then backing out of the flow, you need a way of recovering from that situation, like asynchronously receiving the fact that it's paid in from that backend provider. They don't have to have the app open, and the app suddenly says, "Oh, it's been paid," right? So they don't try and charge it twice. Like the fact that you start the payment flow and you put the order on your system into paying state, and it's not until you get some notion that they've stopped that flow or they've cancelled it in some way or they've continued that's not finished yet. Like you have to think a lot around these sort of edge cases. So, but in general, it sounds fine. Like if this payment gateway is taken on all the concerns there, then it's, which is most of the case of most of the modern ones, then having a cancel means they just didn't complete the payment flow. You might have to submit a cancellation to that payment gateway to say this transaction of this ID has been cancelled by the user. So I'd look into that. But it also means that, yeah, if they start the payment, let's say it's waiting for the payment to process and they get impatient and hit cancel, well, are they still going to get charged? Probably. But then do you know the order went through, right? So you need to think about that. The fact is, it's not just done on the client side where you got like a redirect URL to say that they've paid. It should actually be coming from your server, right? And you should think about other ways of hooking that up.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last week, right?
We talked about something similar. We talked about,
yeah.
I don't think it's the same person. Last week we did actually speak something similar payment flow, which was the payment they get taken to payment, they choose a payment provider. This is the user choose a payment provider, which redirects them to an app. And when the user finishes the payment in the app, it doesn't redirect them back, which means that they kind of get stuck in between. And the way you do that is that the URL that you display at the end of the payment flow is a web page on your server, which when it receives it can then send a push notification to the user or just complete their transaction. When we return back to the app checks to see what's the state of the current transaction flow. It goes, oh, it's been completed, and just dismisses the payment web view or whatever, right? So there's ways of handling these things, right? But you need to just think about I highly recommend making like a flow chart, right? Actually thinking out on paper, as it were, or on screen, how you're going to do the flows and all the possible scenarios that you can get into, because it is quite important. If you do get like a situation where your live app is taking a double payment or some other weird thing has happened, that you address those concerns directly with the customer and sort them out. Make sure that they're leaving a happy review, that they had their problem resolved and they didn't get double charged or they had it refunded. Just refunded them anyway and sent them the goods because you're a nice company, that kind of thing. Because those negative reviews will really impact you. When someone doesn't trust that you're taking their money properly, like that can really affect your ratings. So beware. Anyway,
all right.
Sorry. Yeah,
it's all right. It's all right. This is one that's new on me, but it looks like they're right. Suggestion for a database, ISAR appears to be discontinued.
So it's not discontinued; it just hasn't been updated in a while.
It's completed.
19, almost 2 years though.
Yeah, I mean, but does it need to change?
Yeah,
Done. It did. It doesn't need
there are issues that have not that are being addressed on web, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know if there's been any forks of this, but Simon hasn't had any ability to continue the project at this moment in time, so it's kind of has been stagnating a little bit. But There's no reason why you can't continue with something like that. At the end of the day, you've always got SQLite if you want a local database, right? But it's not going to be as performant as the other options. And the question is, how long has it been since SQLite has had an update? I mean, a substantial update.
SQLite is good and fast.
Yeah, it does sort of update often.
Yeah, and more companies are using this on server now, so it is good.
Anyway, anyway, so you've always got SQLite. And what type of database are you talking about? Because I can tell you right now, for most times, a JSON file will do the job. So there's a format that most people don't recognize, which most people don't realize. It's called JSON-L, which basically means every line in a file is a JSON object. And it also means that you can then also create an index. So if you want to have a really large data set, you can have the JSON object per line. So it's not pretty printed, So one JSON format, one JSON per line, and then doing that, you can have a separate index that you load up, a separate JSON file, which just has the line number, essentially, the index of what that object is with the ID or something. So there's ways of doing that, and it's not terribly difficult to do that kind of thing. You don't, depends on what you're doing. A lot of times it's just like a cache, in which case a JSON file is just as good. If you're doing complex queries, then you got a query system to think about, and that's when you go SQLite, right? So depends on what you're doing.
It's an interesting one that I had not heard about. Why are Google fonts not supporting the new version of Flutter?
They just haven't released it yet, obviously. There you go.
How does it not support it? That's what I'm curious.
Yeah, that's
Probably
where
because
this is coming from.
Probably because the package is.
What breaking change though happened in Flutter 3.24 that would have messed up Google Font?
I would have a feeling that might be the change to unmodifiable byte data, or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, the list thing blob.
That would be my guess. I'm just guessing, right?
Yeah,
but equally, it could support it, but it's been. Let's have a look at the pub spec here. Greater than 3.19.2. So yeah, tell us what the error is you're getting when you use it, and
I think I use that.
Let's live code with it and just show that it works. Let's just live code. That'll be quick enough. A little quick demonstration of showing Google Font, an app.
I'm just trying to see if on their issues, if anyone's actually raised any issues. It doesn't look like it. A brief scan.
Maybe the original poster here can enhance.
Yeah, let's carry on, and then we'll see where we get to.
Okay, I'll keep that one on the shelf. What strategies can be used to prevent memory leaks when preloading and disposing of videos during scrolling?
Don't preload.
Can be used to prevent memory leaks when preloading.
That would tell me it's not disposing properly.
You don't get memory leaks by doing that if you're disposing of the video properly. What you are going to find though is if you're preloading lots of videos whilst you're scrolling, right? So let's say you scroll. Let's say you've got a list of videos and it's I don't know, 80,000 videos, right? And then you fling through that list, and your code is really, really dumb and just says, "Oh, when the widget comes to the screen, I'm going to start preloading it." Well, they might have flung that really hard, and now you're going to back up a whole list of trying to preload 80,000 videos. Well, that's stupid, isn't it? So don't do that, right? So there's actually an inbuilt system in Flutter which allows you to stop delay. What's it called? I had it in my head 2 seconds ago. I'll go look it up. You can stop.
The whole idea of delaying preloading sounds like an oxymoron.
No, it's more about the fact that when you scroll aware image provider, that's the one. So scroll aware image. Let me bring this up on stream. Why not? So part of the SDK you'll find in Flutter is too much. There we go. That'll do. So you'll find this flag on your parent scroller. Recommend deferred loading for context, and basically you call this during your build. And when you call this during your build, it will ask the scrollable, is it currently scrolling? And if it is in the axis that you specify, then it says you can decide not to load something, basically. And this is what is done by scroll-aware image provider. So you can write any other image provider with a scroll-aware one. And what happens when you scroll your list view, it won't try and load the images until the scrolling stops, essentially. There's a prediction there in terms of velocity, but in essence, think of it just like start-stop, right? And this way, again, it stops you from having to load all these images in before you're needing to use them, because they'll be scrolled in and out the screen before they're actually loaded. So, yeah, there's some really clever things that I've done in the past in apps, in Android apps, in the way past, where you could you would predict how fast the internet connection is based on how long it's taking to download content, like images, at the byte rate which you're downloading, and then you can predict how long it's going to take you to download some certain content. And if the scrolling velocity takes that content off the screen before it's even come on the screen, you can say, I'm not going to bother downloading it, right? And you can actually, therefore, kind of aim it and tweak it to the user. But there's lots of clever things you can do like that, right? But normally it's just down to velocity on scroll, because there's a point at which you scroll so quickly, they're not even going to see it. Like, it's going to be a blur, right? There is when you're just on a side note, when you are doing content like this in a list, like videos, you normally have a thumbnail, right? That thumbnail can be a really low JPEG compressed version of whatever the content is. You ship that in your JSON itself as base64. So as you download it, you can just display immediately from memory. There's no extra network connections, no downloading. So you can have a full list of content when they scroll. It looks like that from when they're scrolling really quickly. But what they're actually seeing is there's a really low quality image until the scrolling stops, and then you load in the high quality in. So you can do that also with blur hash, is another one that's quite popular, which does a similar thing where you provide a hash in your JSON file, which is like a thumbnail hash. And when you use the library, it puts a lot of gradients on top of each other to make it look like a blurry image of the original. And again, that's a way of not having to download or do asynchronous calls whilst the user is scrolling content. Very helpful.
Very cool. All right. I think there's an easy answer to this next one. Kindly, could you give me a brief walk through the steps of deploying an app to the Google Play Store? You were thinking of deploying one, been working on next year. The first thing to do is go to the page that is about building and releasing an Android app. I just put that in the chat. There's a link there for it. And this will walk you right through everything you need to do. So that is as brief an explanation as I can give, and it's absolutely thorough. It'll tell you everything you need to know.
It kind of doesn't. It tells you what you need to do to get your Android app to the store. The one thing it does not tell you to do is how to deploy an Android app in the store itself. That, in both stores, is difficult. And what I mean by difficult is it's just a lot of steps, a lot of rigmarole to go through. Once you've gone through it once and your app is there, you're good. So if you go to like the home screen, so you create your app listing in the Play Store. So you first sign up to the Play Store, pay your fee, you create your listing. There's a guide that takes you through step by step the different things that you need to do. Set up your privacy policy, set up your App Store listing, set up your screenshots, set up your icons, set up this, set up that. To go for all their policies, do absolutely everything. Make sure you can do reviews, make sure you've got like all the rest of it. Just follow the guides, because it changes all the time, and there's no simple way of explaining that. It's just and it will mess with your head. I'm telling you right now, there's just so much there, right? Not to mention things like deep linking and configuring all that kind of stuff to go along with the app stores and signatures and keys and just, yeah.
You need to find 20 testers.
You have to have 20 friends. That's what I'm saying. You gotta
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, yeah. Now, yeah. If you're not an
making
enterprise,
friends. Start making friends. That's the important thing. Right
need
now,
to-
go out there, meet people. You're gonna need 20 people. So
yeah.
yes.
Also,
Well,
yeah. So before
we've
we
got
jump
more
off,
than that watching the stream right now. So everybody who's watching,
the thing is,
Start
to be
DMing them. Yes.
who was original? Who was the question? Who was the questioner for that? Solomon. Yes, so Solomon. Just remember, what we're talking about here is that there are now policies, particularly like the Google Play Store, which says that you need to have you have to do a certain amount of testing on your app before you can release it. Especially as I think as a personal user, if you go look at the policies, I think as an enterprise user, you can kind of get away with a bit less, but which kind of is backwards to me. But it's basically stop people from just spamming the Play Store with lots of random crap, right?
It's harder to be an enterprise developer, though. That's the thing.
You have to go through you have to go through the DUNS background check thing for apps and shit. Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, the point here, Solomon, was that if you want to say release next year, start it up now. You can start doing the Play Store listing now. You don't have to release an app, right? And you can start getting that into testing now. You can start beatering that now if you want to. You can do all of the rest of your Play Store listing before you even transmit a product to a tester, right? That's where you want to get to. So basically, what happens at the end of the day is you've done everything's ready. You've done it. You get your testing done, and all you've got to do is press the go button, and you can choose when to do that. So, but yeah, definitely just sooner rather than later, and that way you've got plenty of time to find all the assets and resources and whatever else you need. Don't leave it till when you want to deploy it, because you will hate yourself, because it will take you a lot longer to deploy than you realized.
Like
Very
many
cool.
good things.
Well, hopefully that was very helpful there for you, Solomon.
Right.
All right. And that pretty much takes care of everything.
Oh.
The only one still in the queue is that one about the fonts.
Google fonts. Yeah.
Did we
We tabled that.
Let's see if I can. Did we get any requests on photos or anything? Photos on codes.
Coding, there was. Elaborate, please. I can't remember what you were referring to.
That was this about videos and not preloading.
Oh, I think that might be a bit much for a live coding session today.
I was about to do it.
Oh, okay, or not.
No,
Well, not
actually,
necessarily videos, but it's the same. It's the same concept, so we could give it a go.
actually,
I'm going to
just a bit
step away
earlier.
for a few minutes and refresh a drink. I will be back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just a
create
bit earlier.
We could do that as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
I will be back in just a few minutes.
All right.
Let's see what. Let's get this go. Let's get this boat going.
So we want to talk about the Google fonts, or do you want to talk about databases?
Let's do. I can't be bothered with Google Fonts, to be fair. I mean, at the end of the day, is if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But let's have a look. We'll give it a go. We'll be.
Yeah.
I'll be nice. We'll play nice.
And we can do some fancy fonted text that says Humpday Q&A.
Oh yes, so exciting.
Right. And then you put that in a gist, and everybody can download it.
Right. Let's do. 12:04.
How about typography?
What about it?
The sun has almost gotten completely out of my way.
So, where were we? What are we doing?
Need to import Google Fonts.
Google Fonts.
That was it.
Add the package. Import it.
Yeah.
Basically, go to the pub page and cut and paste a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I like how it has to generate the giant file that has every single font in it.
Don't
Because it
even
has
get me
to have
started
all
on
the-
that. What I hate more is that it's not broken up. Like, I love that it's not broken, probably broken up, which means you get analyzer files.
Oh, yeah.
This just annoys the hell out of me. So, like, whenever I want to do something, I just want to have the analyzer be able to like track everything when I'm trying to debug something, and it's like Google Fonts, no, right? Like that could be broken up, to be fair, right? Right. So what we're doing, it was a quick test app with a Google font in it or something. All right.
Right.
Debug capture shader. Oh, okay, whatever.
Wow.
All these new debug flags I've not bothered to look at.
Nice. We could do a whole show on that.
Yeah. What the hell was it? Oh, that's why. That's not reported that. That's why it's called flags. This is what I wanted. Yeah, okay. And then do you want to go find a font, Randall? You're going to go to fonts.google.com and pick your favorite Humpday Q&A style font.
I think that's
Comic
a good
Sans.
plan.
Comic Sans, don't you dare.
Lotto. Writing system should be English. Let's see here.
What was the min spec of 3? What was the version that people 324.5? 324.5. I don't even know if I've got that one installed. We're going to find out though. 323. Is it 324.5 or 3524? I think someone's messed up that number in the chat. That makes way more sense.
So the Flutter version is 320. Hold on a second.
Yeah, Flutter's 324.
I don't know what we're on now. I haven't updated mine.
Yeah, the Flutter version is 3.24.5. The newest one from Stable Channel.
Ooh, Happy Monkey. Happy Monkey.
Wait a minute.
That's the font I'm choosing. Happy Monkey.
Oh. I've just totally screwed that one up. That's fine.
Yeah, you changed the.
I changed the wrong one. Yeah, I'm just like definitely not with it. Sure.
How about testing on Dartpad? What's the fun of that? And besides, you probably can't import Google fonts into Dartpad.
324.4 is what I've got in the moment, and you're saying 324.5, right?
Yep.
So.
Oh, good. Flutter upgrade live on screen.
Oh, wonderful.
Ah, and it breaks.
Once the command something is using
another process.
Yeah. All right, let's just sort this out in a second, guys. Talk amongst yourselves.
This is why you never upgrade Flutter live in a live stream.
It's fine.
You need Puro. Puro should be brought to your live.
No, I've got some.
I just want to tell everybody out there that if you ever need to have multiple versions of Flutter installed at the same time, like for example, you're working for a client and they're pinned at an older version of Flutter, but you want to be able to use the latest Flutter, or you want to be able to test stuff with the new betas. Puro is the best way to do that. It used to be we would say FVM for that, and FVM was great. It did the job, got everything done. But there were some ways that it could save space and time, and Puro figured out how to do that. For one, Flutter doesn't change much from release to release. So what Puro does, it's really sort of remarkable. is that it shares the same Git sources and only needs to store the deltas between the various releases, in a sense, because that's the way Git knows how to do it. The same way Git, when you have multiple branches, doesn't store all of both branches. It stores the common things as common and then the deltas as deltas. And so Puro knows how to do it that way too. And Puro also has 2 Easter eggs that I think are amazing. It has an eval where you can say Puro -e and a version name, and then a string, or I think eval goes in there somewhere. No, just the string. And it will compile and run that using that version of Flutter. Really cool, really clever. And it has a REPL. So you could actually say Puro REPL and pull it up. Puro.dev is where you go to get that installed.
Okay, so yeah, done. Yeah. So 324.5, 354. Google font. Did you find me a font?
Yeah, Happy Monkey.
Happy Monkey. Oh God. Happy Monkey. There you go.
Oh.
Let's see how Happy Monkey works. Of course. No, I didn't do preload. That's fine. So the issue you might be getting might not be Google Fonts. It might be that you just upgraded your Flutter project, and there has been some recent change to Android itself and Android. So if you're using the newer version, you're going to need to upgrade your Android Gradle plugin version, your Gradle version, things like that, which some people have been having problems with recently. So maybe we can do a live stream on that at some point. We did actually do it on upgraded this project. Well, partly haven't completed it. That's why it's complaining down here at the moment. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
Right. Installing.
Mm.
I'm going to find out it now works.
Dun,
And there's no problem. How's my Happy Monkey? Running the wrong program because it's an idiot. Close enough.
It compiled, so I guess it's working.
Yeah, there's no problem with compilation. So it could be a runtime problem, though. So let's have a look. Come on.
I like the name of the font. I didn't particularly care for the font. I didn't want to search anything. I just said, search for a nice name. There we go.
Yeah.
It's nice rounded characters. Kind of nice. It's not big enough, though. Can't see it. There we go. Yeah. See? It's a nice font.
Like and subscribe.
Yes. Yeah. That needs to be like the corner banner. Right? Like and subscribe in Happy Monkey font.
Oh, like, hang it, like, and subscribe.
Exclamation. Here we go. Right.
And then what? Should we put in the banner though? Should we put it in the banner? Or let's do. Yeah. We can do that. What's it? Right. What's it called? Is it corner banner or something? Isn't it? What's it called?
Oh, right.
Damn it! I'm gonna go. Is it just banner? Is that it? Location.
Oh,
I don't know. Let's find out.
Right.
Top end sounds about right.
Top end.
Message. I don't think we put a font. Can we? I didn't check.
Oh yeah. How do you do font for the message?
Oh, text style. Where's the text style?
Ah, which means you can always do that.
Colors blue. Blue.
Sure. Or yellow.
why yellow?
Yeah. I'm just saying. I don't know why yellow. I'm weird.
Happy Monkey. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
See what happens when you go away? We come up with stupid ideas.
I had to check in with the lady of the house. She is having a hard time at work fighting software. So I told her, welcome to
Don't
our
ask
world.
me. I'm not a software engineer.
Yes.
Well, it's there.
So
It's
wait a
just
minute.
to be.
This thing in the top, that thing in the top right, is that the banner, like the debug banner?
It is. It's the normal
Yeah.
debug banner. The problem is we've increased the font size, and the banner doesn't take that into account. So if it's too big for this corner, that's it. And then I don't see any way of changing the size. I'm upset currently.
Oh well.
You would think it would get.
First of
Large.
all, in order to get it off of there, why don't you change the location down to like bottom left where there's nothing on top of it?
Oh,
Yeah, but
that helps.
yeah, sure, but that's not the point we're trying to mention here, right? Like, there you go. Like the point here is that look,
Yep.
it's
No, I know, I get it.
Yeah.
we need to do a
gets
better banner,
clipped.
guys. We
There's
need
a
to-
fitted box in there.
How are they doing this? Banner painter, custom paint on the foreground.
Actually, no, it's not fitted. Can't be.
It should be animated as a marquee.
Well, but that's not a banner. That's a marquee. Do we have a
Yeah.
marquee widget?
A marquee, and I think there's a package.
There you go,
for it, I
Randall.
know.
There's a package
Do
for
it.
you.
Yeah, I know.
Let's create a
No, there's
marquee.
already a package for that. Yes.
Let's
I
make
thought we
a
were doing a database. What happened while I was gone?
No, we said we'll do this first, right?
Yes.
yeah. We are checking the
Yeah,
font.
so
We're getting the easy stuff first. This is the low hanging fruit of using
So is
Happy
this the
Monkey
font's
font.
wait a
question?
minute. This is
The font question is yes, that it seems to work. We can't find why it's not working for the original poster.
Okay.
probably something else in the project.
Yeah, possibly.
This is kind of annoying. So it uses the size. Oh, there's a child. Wait a minute. Are you telling me that there's a child widget to a banner that
What would it put in there? Where would
Wait.
it put it?
No. We wrap it around it. It puts the custom painter on top. So the actual size. Hang on. This is breaking my head here a second. Hang on. So the size given to the banner painter itself during its paint method is the
Size of the child?
size of the entire screen in this case, right?
Oh.
So it translates size width, size height. Translation X. Hang a minute. Okay, so that's working it based on your banner location. It works out where it should be in that space. Rotates. Draw the banner shadow and then the banner background, and then paints the text on top. I mean, it just seems like, yeah, I don't know. Let's do this as something else here for a second. I'm kind of,
Let's make a
Yeah.
hacky solution. Let's just put two banners. One will say like, and the second one will say subscribe.
no,
Yeah.
they won't stack. They stack on top of each other, right? That's the problem. Like you can't. You would expect the
yeah.
diagonal to change its size, like it doesn't.
Yeah.
There was actually someone who posted on the Flutter forums about, I think it was Flutter forums. They had like these headings on a table that were 45 degrees, and they wanted them all to like kind of overlap and like line up nicely. And
Yeah.
that's again another example of this kind of thing where it's more difficult than it feels like it should be. But let me just try this here for a second. Let's grab this. Right,
And it should rainbow too. It should be like each one layer should be different color.
So what would
And
it take?
unicorns. You forgot unicorns.
Yes. And the guy doing magic.
Save me, everyone.
It should be animated. It should dance in with a little clown. Well, with a monkey, because it's Happy Monkey font. It should dance in with a monkey. You see, most people watching the stream today didn't realize we would try to get the word monkey in somewhere. So we have won the challenge.
Okay. That's fine.
Simon is on a
By
mission.
the way, for
Is the
anyone that
alpha.
doesn't know, let me just
Yeah.
line. People don't know this as well. I'm going to try to show you this for a second as well. So 0, 0 is center alignment on
Yep. Same as
Well-
align.center. Alignment.center,
Yep.
center, same thing.
right, but you can also just do fraction alignments yourself, right? So if you want to just
Yeah.
say take it like partly over the center point down like that, you can do that. See?
Yep.
And then
Yeah,
0.5
I always
would be-
use alignment and stack instead of position, because the problem for me with positioned is it's based on pixels, and you don't always know the sizes of the screens you're dealing with. So for the same reason that all responsive design should not have numbers in it, I go with alignment. instead of positioned.
So just regarding this, if people ever get into this situation, I'm just going to remove the color box, where you see red text with a yellow double underline, that means you're missing a parent material. To use any text widget, it needs to have a default text style. If it does not have a default text style, it can't be used. So we could wrap this in a default text style, right? And then provide that style ourselves, right? So we could actually provide that up here.
Happy monkey.
Right. I know. Right. And you'll notice that now, let me get rid of the blue boxes to make it a bit more visible. That's gone away. But if you put a material in there, which if you're using material app, you probably should do at the base, either a scaffold, which owns a material, which a material also owns a physical surface. These actually implement the default text style from the text theme of the material text theme, as it were. So yeah, so just to be clear about that, that's what you probably want to do. Right. Anyway. Right. So we've got like a like and subscribe here. Can we now position this in the bottom right is the question. And then we still have our centered widget, obviously. So what would happen if we were to do alignment dot bottom right? Okay. So this is taking into account that the widget has size. Now what we could do, we can do something very clever here. We can say its width factor is 0. Ooh. And there's a yes, there's an interesting thing that's occurred that I didn't expect it to occur, but yeah. Right. Need to
transform, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm not expecting it to be positioned there, which is kind of funky. I think this is a case of hang on, let me just wrap this in another alignment widget. Some clever things you can do with alignment. I tell you, sorry, align widgets. Alignment.
There are also some cool things you can do when you're doing custom painting, where you've got a rectangle. You can align along a rectangle, so that will give you a offset that you can use for further like drawing things with. So like if you want to draw something from like the the upper middle third to the lower middle third, you can use a line to get both of those points and don't have to work it out any crazier than that.
Sam, you have a width factor. Yeah.
No, put it on 0 on purpose. I'm trying to do something funky with this, and it's not obeying the rules that I know are there.
Funky monkey. Do the funky.
Oh dear.
You can also wrap it. You can also use position it with right?
Yeah, I mean, like we can position it, and like that's not really a problem. That's not really what I'm trying to like. The thing, the position changes the
just write 0.
Yeah, there's a problem, right? Like, because essentially we want to say, I'm trying to take it up. Here's the thing. Basically, what I want to do is I want the chart to take up no space in layout, but then be positioned. So we can do it. Let me just do this here. Hang on. Let me just. I just don't know why bottom right is this. Oh, because the default stack alignment. Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, that makes sense.
I was going to say, I didn't know why you had that there.
Okay, that's why I expected. Okay, that's better. And then
the problem with looking at Simon's code and with working with him one-on-one, folks, after 6 years of doing it, I can tell you that 99% of the time he's got a reason that he put something somewhere. Actually, no, we'll say 90. 10% of the time he threw it up there for a quick second and forgot to take it down.
Thanks, I think.
So if you see something in his code that doesn't look right, there's a 10% chance that it's not right. Like the word import is not spelled that way.
Leave my typing alone. Whatever this is.
Come on, Simon. Pi is like 3.14. You don't need to import the whole math.
How much is a Raspberry Pi? This is what happens when you get me in my morning instead of my afternoon.
It's, this is what happens when we've been on the stream for 2 hours.
Yep.
Why is that rotating the wrong way for me?
Oh, man.
Let's put minus.
It's
Hold
warm.
clockwise versus counterclockwise. Bro. Oh, yeah, just stick that thing anywhere.
It's funny.
That'd be
It's
180.
actually normally, it's normal in this house. It's not cold, but outside it is so cold and wet
Ooh.
that cold is seeping into everything. Even if we keep the house warmer than normal, it feels cold.
I bet. I've got the same thing going on here in Portland.
Well, we had, for the U.S. it was 29 degrees, and it was -1 Celsius with 60% humidity.
Ooh.
60.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, the humidity is just miserable here right now.
Sounds like a day with the lake effect in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm. It is lake effect. We're 40 minutes south of the lake. Right now, Ashtabula, north of us, a little northeast of us, just got pounded with 5 feet of snow.
Ugh. I am so
We don't
glad I
have
don't
any
live
yet.
in the Midwest. I'm so glad I live on
40 minutes away, we've got no snow.
Yeah. Wow. At least it's local.
Because it's the point. It's rotating around. Oh,
Yeah. Maybe just do one more transformation, but
No, we're going to do something. No, we're going to do this. This is what.
Okay.
What?
Any combination of multiple transformations can always be reduced to a single transformation.
I think he's got a point.
Rotated box.
No, because you're going to do quarter turns. We can't try and do a quarter turn. You are wrong, sir.
Oh.
It was a great suggestion. Thank you for watching the show, and tell your friends. And thank you for your suggestion. We have taken it under advisement. You got to be diplomatic.
Welcome
here,
to every single day of my life. Okay, I make a suggestion. Nope, that's not it.
Let's move this out from the bottom right here just for a second. Okay. Am I rotating that around the right axis? Am I? Where's it gone?
You're rotating it around one of the Earth's axes. It's in some other neighboring city.
It's literally right. Okay, it's definitely there. So I am definitely rotating it around. Okay.
All right.
Okay. D6, that's there. That's what I expected. Rotate Y. That's not the same as doing the transform dot rotate because it's doing it around the center point. It does the calculation for you. This is literally flipped it though, right?
Yeah.
It's just I can't be fun. It's going to piss me off now.
See, I told you just use 2 transformation. One for rotation, and second one for translation.
All right. This just translates via pixels though, right? I really wanted to transform based on the child size, which you can do with a underline, actually, can't you?
We're gonna get to that database.
What?
We're never going to get
killing
to that
me
database.
You're killing me here.
So I don't really want to put a fixed number in here. We can fix this without a fixed number, but at this point, just like, well, you know, what are we doing? Because don't need to, right? It's pissing me off that I can't remember what the.
Why don't you invent a drag and drop interface so you can pull it into place and it'll tell you the number that you need?
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah. Why don't we have interfaces
Before,
like
right?
that?
Yeah.
Huh? It didn't look like it was
Butterfly.
45 degrees to me, but maybe.
Yeah, that's 45.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
But math was a long time ago in high school.
Oh, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Oh no!
You didn't see that.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Someone once told me, no, someone 20 times told me that putting spaces on the end of strings
There we
is
go.
not the way to do an alignment.
Yeah.
I bet.
Right.
It's
Let's
not
see
if
what
you're
happens.
normal. Oh,
And
look,
Almost.
not
Maybe a
bad.
little longer.
So I mean, like, ideally, you don't want to put these,
Yeah.
you know, because we're putting pixel sizes in here, and we want to base it on the child size, but right. So
By the way,
There's definitely
this is not production ready code.
Wait a minute.
really bugs
It's
me that I'm
ready.
not-
Ship it. Ship it.
like and subscribe.
Yes,
Anyway,
like and
all right.
subscribe. Ship.
Do we want to do like a little? Right. There's two other things I want to play around with. Right. So we had the scrolling. What do you call it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
unfortunately,
scrolling
I'm going to have to
display.
cut it. I've got some things I've got to do for the government.
Right.
So
Nice.
I wish I was getting paid for them, but I'm not.
Thanks for stopping by, Scott.
Yeah, I'm
Hey.
also going.
Glad to be here. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
it's
the
late for
sun's
you.
up now for you, Ralph.
To my
Yeah,
government. It's 4. I'm going to sleep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Like
Have a good
it's
one.
just,
Thanks.
You
just
get some
time in.
sleep. See ya.
See you next week.
See ya.
Just Simon and me for a bit then.
All right.
See you,
And
Scott.
that's going to do me as well. You all have fun, and I will see you next week. I will be a year older.
Oh, we have similar birthdays.
Well, it's
I'm
you know
already a
what?
year older.
It's happy birthday, by the way. And
Yeah.
it's always better to keep getting older because your real problems are when you stop getting older.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
It
a big
sucks.
problem.
It sucks to get older, but the alternative
The
is
final
worse.
problem.
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
Right. Cool. See you now. Have a good one.
I think I
So-
can take my hat off. Let's see if it works. Probably just gonna have bad hair. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
what should we do next? We've got. I think we need to pick one of two. So we've got scroll aware image scrolling. Sorry, scroll aware images loading, or we've got like a little database thing.
The database thing might be fun. I mean,
Database thing?
but what are we trying to demonstrate, that we can create a database?
Well, I was just thinking about like how to do a quick like JSON database kind of cache thing, but we need some data to work with.
It could be a command line app that would that you would keep asking for name, address, phone number, and we're gathering a mailing list.
Yeah, but I mean, like for us to like show it.
Okay.
I mean, I wanted just a data set that you can just plug in, right? That's the only problem with that. I see. See what you can.
With CRUD? Do you mean with CRUD? I've never
Anyway.
heard. I've never heard it as CRUD.
I'll be back.
What
Be
you
right back.
eat with? That's cottage cheese. I guess I'm solo on the stream for a second. I'm trying to think of some good things. Again, check out my Dart and Flutter channel. Like I said, I hope to get some more apps out soon, some more documents out soon. If anybody has any ideas of what you'd like to see on my YouTube channel, please let me know. I'm hanging out in all the usual spots. I'm probably one of the easiest people to find in the Flutter community, simply because of my ever-present presence in all the different places like Discord and Slack and all the places like that. I have a list of about 250 subjects But the problem is every time I look at the list of subjects, I go, okay, I don't have a best one of these to do yet. But then I look at any individual one and I go, I don't quite have a way of, I want to say that yet. I'm pretty sure there's a better way to talk about that. I lucked out on this container thing that I just did because I was answering a question on Discord. This is how most of my YouTube videos come from. I was answering a question on Discord and I went, here's why container isn't constant. Here's why you should look at what a container does under the hood, because you can make those pieces constant. And I said, oh, that'd be a great short video that I could do. And I wouldn't have to write any code at all. I simply walked through the source code of the container object, showed the build method, and showed how it gets built up by pieces. So that was a lot of fun. And
What are you talking about, Randall?
I'm talking about the container video, since
Oh, yeah.
it's recent on my mind. Yeah.
So
It's good stuff.
I think the thing is, if we want to do something like this, we need something that you can index.
How was your BOD? Beginning of day? I don't get that.
Neither do I.
This one here, right there. How was your BOD? Beginning of day? Yeah. Birthday? Oh, birthday. Oh, you abbreviated birthday. That's not the way I normally abbreviate birthday. Oh, you mean DOB, day of birth. Ah. What advice would you have for juniors from your life and dev life? That would be an interesting problem to answer. I think the thing is, never underestimate what you think you can do. Always be stretching. And that doesn't mean crazily overcommit, but don't be afraid of going, well, I know 7 out of the 10 things I need for this project. I don't know 8, 9, and 10. Don't be afraid of at least proposing that you participate. And I've gotten into a lot of places that way, simply by answering yes when somebody asks me, can I do something? And I say yes before I think. And then I'm in trouble. But that's ultimately, though, has led to a 45-year career of doing so many wildly different things over the time that it's been real fulfilling. So I'm happy. I don't know whether I have 5 or 10 more years of productivity left, but I'm planning on just hacking until they take away the keyboard. So, it's been fun so far. And hopefully that was enough time for Simon to be able to do something next.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find if there's a nice way of maybe. Why is nothing ever simple? Hang on. Bear with me one more second.
The other thing, the other thing is to recognize that, especially if you go cross-discipline, like I went from software to technical writing to training to security to networking. I did a lot of different things, and what you start to discover is that almost everything that a job has is mostly the same. What it really comes down to is, in what medium are you expressing your creativity? And when you start abstracting it that way, it starts making a lot more sense. So then I start optimizing on what do I need to do to be creative in general, because that would apply whether I'm writing a book or writing a magazine article or trying to write some code about something, or I'm interacting with a classroom. Those are all acts of creation. And it's useful to be able to optimize and learn how that is for you, so that you can do that sort of thing. And also then learn to respect other people's probably actually different strategy for doing the same act, and learning how to encourage that in others. So there's the management tip for the day. Well,
So-
like I know a lot about managing. I don't manage much. I'm mostly a second lieutenant, not a captain.
So I thought I'd go to meetup.com and copy out the list of Flutter meetups that was on there.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't think it's got them all. I thought it was more than this, but maybe
It's first page.
yeah, it's like the first page of results.
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on. Let's see if I can
Write a little scraper. There we go. There's your challenge. Write a web scraper using Dart.
I can't be bothered. Oh, that's better. That's better. That's more like it. All right, now we have a data set. So let's clean this up. Let's clean this up so that we don't have all this nonsense. So let's first of all, let's syntax highlight a bit of HTML so we can actually maybe read it. There we go. That's better. So we need to get rid of all the garbage. Luckily, a lot of this is repeated crap, right? So we should just be able to do like a search and replace. And just get rid of all the crap and make this into a simple data set that we can load in. So we have location. So let's do something with this and say, let's do some regex. We do some regex. Let's do some regex.
Regex. Oh my god. I can do this. You don't want to regex on HTML. Ugh.
I know. I don't need to do that. Hang on. I'm going to do just this.
Just global edits.
No. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I think I've told them know what I'm doing.
I had a problem. I said, now I'm going to use a regex. Now I have two problems.
Right. Yeah. Where am I?
That was Jamie Zawinski, I think, said that famous quote. Forget what thing he did. What is Jamie Zawinski famous for? Some website, something.
I don't know, but it's...
I'm sure the chat will know.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
The creator of Netscape Navigator. That's what. How did he get this tag? An impresario. Oh, person who organizes concerts.
Right.
I was thinking, I want a cool word like that in my bio in Wikipedia.
All right. How can we format this data out a bit better than this? Right. We're trying to get this into, just be clear, we're trying to get this into a place where we can actually consume the data, since we don't actually have like a good data set to work from. So we've got URL, we've got title, we've got location.
You could have just handed all this to a DOM parser.
Yeah, I could do.
And then you could walk it through looking at the elements. It'd be an interesting.
But the whole deal is trying to get into an app.
Oh, okay. Okay. Never mind. That's a different problem to solve for a different day.
Right. All right, let's get rid of the outer one. We don't need that. And we just now need to say get rid of a white space.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that? Something like that. Yeah. Let's get rid of all white space. Ooh.
That's the new line. That counts the new line. You don't want to do that.
No, I want to get rid of
not /s.
No, I want to get
spaces and tabs.
Hang a minute. Line start, white space.
That way it'll unindent it. Yeah, that'll probably be better.
Good. And
Yeah,
then I want to get,
yeah.
then I want to get line end white space.
If there's any out there.
Well, it should
might
get
not.
the new line, right?
Yeah.
I'll just say replace new line with nothing. Can I do? Right. That's actually what I want for the
Oh, you
moment.
did want that. Okay.
And then
And
I'll
there-
replace. He says.
I kind of
Now
thought
it's
you
not
want
what I want.
lines. I think you want lines.
Yeah, no, I do want lines. Hang on a minute, but I'm just trying to. Are you? Thing? Right. I forgot I had a div tag. Let's replace.
Watch Simon wrestle with HTML.
Exactly. What more fun could you have?
Really? It's like a cage match. HTML and Simon go into a cage. Only one comes out.
Let's replace this with this. No, with that. Okay. That's good. We're getting there.
Yeah, that's looking pretty.
Okay. And now what I want to do is extract out the various pieces, and we'll just convert it to like what, a tab separated file or comma separated file or something like that, and that will give us our data set, right?
I don't believe there'll be any well, there might be commas in there. You might have to worry about that. Actually, I'm pretty sure there are. There are commas, yeah. I see one already, I think. Oxford, comma, GB at the bottom.
Yeah, we'll just do a tab separate. It's easier.
In response to my cage match. No, out comes React Native. Great. That's right. That's George or whatever, Flutter LN. Flutter LN.
There we go. And place that. Right. There we go. So okay. So what we've got here is we've got link, name, location as a data set. Tab separates, so tab character separates each of the fields. It's also called a TSV instead of a CSV. So when you have commas, it's easier than having to escape them. We could saying that we could actually undo that and convert to, maybe it's easier just to quickly convert that to JSON. Actually, that'd be the end format I actually wanted. So hang on, let me just. Why not?
You have to worry about escaping all the right quote marks and stuff, though.
No, we should be fine. Hang on. Let me just try this again. Hang on. Div.
All right.
It can only go wrong. So
it can only go so deeply wrong that we can't undo the editor enough times.
Right, and then let's see if we can do this. We've got the end of the link, starting of the thing. So we should be able to do quote, comma, and then name. And then take the line break, convert that to location. Right. So the theory goes, if I say this is formatted as a, can we actually do that in here? So whatever, that really helped. Anyway, so this is actually the format that we want.
Okay.
So this is now effectively JSON-L, right? This is one line of the file is a single JSON object.
Okay.
I have an unnecessary space I must get rid of. There we go. So, all right. So now what we want to do is we want to read this in to our, stick this in as an asset file in our project, read it in, create a index, and then we should be able to create like, do the whole type and search, right?
Yeah.
So let's do that. And that would be our final example. Right. So first of all, back to that. Let's get an asset file in there. Let's call it, what should we call it?
Source data.
Meetups dot.
Oh.
In fact, JSON-L would be the correct format. There you go. Don't format like that. Anyway, so there's
Cool.
right. How about insert and delete? Just add them to the file. Delete them from the file.
Yeah.
We'll get there. Right. So let's run me down on number 2. Let's get rid of all that. Right. So first of all, class meetups database. There we go.
Well, wait, you saved the one with the monkey font for putting.
Yeah. No, that's still safe. That's in.
Okay.
I've got a copy of that here. So
Okay, good. Yeah. I want to make sure you're not losing all that.
yeah. Meetups entry. And what do we say we had? We have a link, name, and location. Right.
Careful, we don't want to get a needle drop cost here.
All right, so we've got a model. Let's now have a way of loading this up. So our data, effectively our database is a list of meetup entry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we could do it as late and then have a.
See, this is an example of a Flutter or a Dart pattern that wouldn't be directly mapped one-to-one to the Gang of 4 patterns, which is the way you build a typical private constructor design, because it's very specific to the way Dart does it. Just referencing the patterns conversation from earlier, that a pattern is humanware to fill in a particular way to generate an idiomatic phrase. So it's not code, it's how to make code that does what you want. Part of why I like RiverPod, because it's got flexible core elements that allow me to idiomatically express what I want, although I had to learn what those patterns were. And they're not one-to-one mapping with gang of four patterns. Maybe that's what people have trouble with RiverPod, because it doesn't match classic patterns. It shouldn't have to. It just needs to be self-consistent, which it does pretty well. Yeah, it's so that people can understand your code. Yeah, definitely. Reading the chat there. And out of Simon's head comes an entire app. This is great. We need a Simon macro, where we can just push a button and it just does everything you're typing now. That adaptive. Circular progress.
No one cares. Let's be honest. No one cares about iPhones.
Those spinners are important, man. You got to have the right kind of spinner, depending on the architecture. It won't fit in otherwise. I mean, the Flutter team went to the work of adding dot adaptive to that. It's time to use it.
All right.
We got to show Cupertino some respect, you know. Not Cupertino. Mountain View. Cupertino's the other guys. Wait, what does it look like on? Oh, you're doing Android. So it'd be the Android spinner? No, what is it on Android? Bouncy balls? Forget what progress looks like on Android.
And it's just the spinny wheel kind of thing.
Okay, so it's not much different from the iOS one.
No, it's segmented, right? So. Right. Let's do that. All right. So that's basically going to do nothing right now, but let's just simulate something and then we can get back to actually set seconds with me, right? Let's run this and we get into a state where we're actually doing something more than typing.
Sorry, what about typing?
Let's see. It should be launching.
Can you build me an app, please, Simon?
Yeah, I know, Luke. Luke's being yes.
And then Flutter compared to React Native. Yeah, I'm led to believe that React Native has some benefits. It does. It keeps some people away from us on the Flutter community. It's a different lightning rod.
So there you go. So now what we have is an app that has a splash screen that shows a spinner whilst it's loading the data.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the app. Okay, so that's just their basic sort of structure. All right, so loading the data. So we say final data equals root bundle load. Come on. Yes. and root bundle dot. So we can load. I guess we can load it as a string. And the key is where it is in the assets. So we had assets.meetups.jsonl, I think it was. Right.
Wherever you had it, yeah.
Yeah. So now we've got our initial data. We want to pass each line. There's actually a thing built in called line splitter.
Line splitter, make me a line.
And that allows you to bind to a stream. I wonder if we
Extract
can
my
do.
text.
Does load actually give it? I don't think we have a way. If I was doing this from a network, I'd probably load it the stream from the network straight through this. But
Yeah.
it's since on disk, we just get it as a buffer.
See, if that was YAML, you could parse it directly from the thing. But yeah.
So now we have lines from that. Okay. Oh, we need to wait. Yeah.
Actually, that's technically a single YAML file, exactly as it is. You can try that. It'd end up as a list of maps.
Yeah, just yeah.
Oh no, it needs dashes in front of each line. Right, that wouldn't work then. But that's the cool thing about YAML is that JSON is a perfect subset of it. So you can always drop a JSON chunk into the middle of a YAML file and it'll still work. A benefit many people aren't aware of, but definitely get me out of indenting hell sometimes.
I'm just going to manually do this. Because we got just a few fields, but yeah, use your favorite JSON encoding decoding library, right? Like whatever.
Oh, yep, sure. And that's the justification for why there's not a YAML writer in the system, because you can just simply write JSON. You can take JSON encode and drop it into a file and call it something.yaml and it'll still be valid.
Right. Okay. So we can read all those entries in, and let's get rid of that delay. And our meetups database. If we do this right, we can actually have a we'll just take it from snapshot data, I guess. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. If we're not doing it anywhere else in here. So we can now you know what? I can't be bothered with like any sort of state management. We're just gonna do it like this. Make my life easier.
And I'm gonna have to bail at the top of the hour, so we should probably start thinking about wrapping this up.
Yeah. We're not going to get to the entire implementation here. We could look at it more next week, I think. If we want to start
We've said that about a dozen times and never went back.
Well,
actually, no, we did a few. We did a few back.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. Next week on part 2 of scraping a file, scraping a website. My hair must be so crazy in real life that it can't figure out where my hair boundaries are. Green screen code is going mad. Yes, Shaman will be back.
Ooh.
Oh no, red. Red screen of death.
Yeah, that'd be my bad.
Just add an error handler and then have it show something pretty. Have it show happy monkey text. Oh, look. My goodness. It's parsed.
So, yeah, I mean,
Butterflow developers game.
what would be nice to do is to extend. So, and the thing, the rules to really take it to the next level, right? Which I don't think we're going to. Is to see if we got that working as well. There you go. Right. The real thing here, right, is if we can take this list and be able to search it via an index, which we can do, and then also add in an insert and delete, as people are saying. And then obviously we pre-populate this from a file, but this wouldn't be the ideal way to do this, right? This is like, if you don't have anything on startup, we can preload it, and then once you've preloaded it, we'll use the saved file on disk, and when we make changes, we save it. And that was just a few extra functions, but what I think we should wrap it up now, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I think we should wrap it up now. So I'll post both of these examples now. Let me get back to there. There you go. Let me quickly post these examples and the links, and then everyone has them. If I can find the button. Right. Let me just do that quickly, and then we can wrap up the stream. I think we complete that next stream, because I can show you how to use binary search on an index based on any of the fields. There's some nice little things you can do there to show the basics of a database. For sure.
Yeah, or maybe one of the map key systems that gives you the next thing after this if you give it just a key. There's ones that give you the nearby next one in sequence.
Well, I mean, the Dart collection stuff has binary search function built in, so we could just like put that on a sort. That's don't have to write anything.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I know it's built-in stuff.
Essentially, yeah, B tree, right? So
yeah, that's it. B tree. Yes, that was the name. I'm a street trained programmer. I didn't learn any of this stuff in school, so I don't know any of this stuff.
Right, where was it going? Yeah, let me just these for everyone.
Right. Yeah, my hair's a mess. It's okay. It'll be different next week. And at least I still have hair at my age. That's the important part.
When I was young, we used to have hair.
Way back in 09. Back in 09, I had hair. No, back in 09.
Right, bear with me. Right, what we got? We've got Google fonts example.
Yep.
Banner.
Happy monkey. Happy monkey. I gotta put that in a real app now. Happy monkey font.
You've got that in your head now, haven't you?
I do. Now it's gonna be obvious. It looks like a friendly font. Like it would be fun to see text written.
I built a whole app once that the end client wanted it in a font called Good Dog.
Good Dog. Okay.
Yeah, go look it up.
Yeah.
Try building a whole app in that. Right.
Good
He might be on the Google
font.
fonts. You know that.
Oh
Right.
God. Oh no. Oh no. No, 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 no. No,
Yeah.
just no.
That
Just
good, eh? So the
oh,
first example of Google Fonts is in the chat. Let me just post the second example, database example.
I just Googled good dog font and it came up with it under DeFont, and it's just horrible. Oh my God. Oh,
Meetups
okay.
database part 1.
Oh yeah, good idea, Christian. Make it so that if you have a secret backdoor, it'll change the font in your app to something else. That would be cool.
Yeah. Make life
I
easier,
like
right?
I like using long triple press for a magic access mechanism. So if you get any of my apps, you can try those. It might trigger something.
Right.
Pretty unlikely that normal users would ever stumble across long triple press.
I think that about does it.
Okay.
And let me pop that second example in the chat for anyone. So we've got the first one, which is the font one, and then the second one, which is the database one. I also included the JSON-L file in there, so that if anyone wants to start progressing a bit further with it, they can. I'm happy if you do start playing around with it. We could then look at the code next week if you post it in gist, or fork my gist, and we can just look at it next week. Yeah. So thank you everyone for dropping by, and hope you had a good time. And we'll see you same time, same place next week.
Yes. Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Bye.